and get started. I'm going to go ahead and try and share my screen. I think I might have lost the ability to, okay, here we go. So share my screen, got it. Share desktop, got it.
Hey, Dennis is recording this, right? Or he's about to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dennis is the recording maestro.
That I am, and I do see Glacier Bay, so you are golden.
All right, great. All right, so I can't see, I don't think I can see the list of people that are here, but I know that pretty much everybody registered for this. So either they're on the call now, or they will get on it, or we'll record it. Before we get started, Liz, how can people access previous recordings? Is that something that they can just go into an archive and get, or is that something we need to record them?
Currently, I'll send them the previous recording when I send them the invite for the next one, but I can archive them on our website as well.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And it sounds to me like, I think, Dennis, do we normally mute everybody?
I can do that. It'll just take 1 sec. I'll mute everybody, and then I'll bring you back on. Bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
The conference has been muted.
Okay, I think I'm back on.
Jonathan,
Great.
you are good to go.
Okay, so just at the end, Dennis, are we going to be able to unmute in case anybody has any questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back. I know it's been a couple weeks since the training. Hope you guys are having a really productive summer. I want to just get into the meat of stuff right now, show you some actual clients, things that we've been working on. There's a couple things also from the training that we didn't actually get a chance to get to because our training was so jam-packed in Kansas City. I wanted to run through a couple of those things with you guys today as well. Hopefully, I was just talking to Marty and hopefully everybody else too. The biggest thing when you get back is to start trying to use those calculators in front of clients. So there's a lot of different parts to the process that hopefully you can implement. And I don't know if you guys have been able to put together any client models yet or have been able to do any analysis, the one-page analysis models yet. But if you get started with the calculators, that's a great place to get started. We don't want your businesses to really move backwards at all. We want you to just help you make more sales right away. And then as you continue to grow and do more, whether you are a life guy and you want to do more annuities, or you're an annuity guy and you want to do more life, or if you're a life and annuity guys, like I know a couple of you guys are significant producers in both arenas, obviously want to be able to do more business. I had a really interesting conversation with a client on the phone. I didn't actually meet this guy in person, and I kind of went through the whole index conversation with him, and I really, really wanted to show you guys a couple of things that I was able to pull up for this particular client, so you guys can see some of the stuff here. I'm going to pull up the personalfund.com website, and I'm going to start off there. And I'm not going to actually show you this guy's model because I didn't have a chance to black everything out. But I'm going to start with a discussion, and I'm also going to remind you of my username and password for the personalfund.com website. So you can see this. Here we go. So the website is www.personalfund. Again, this is the one I use. You guys can use any one you want. I like to tell people that this is a public website because, of course, it is. And you can use any other website you want. But my username and password right on here, and I didn't spend a ton of time on this in the training, but I use this in front of clients. So my username is my email address. Obviously, it says jleeffg@aol.com. My password is Sammer. Sorry, no, it's not. My password is not Sammer. My password is capital. It's not going to show you, but it's CAPITAL. So log in. And what I was going to say is I had a client that sent me some statements with a company called Stifel Nicholas, and they really, really love their Stifel Nicholas guy. And the conversation that we had obviously started around the whole indexing idea, how do indexes work and why your index is good. And they said, oh, well, my Stifel account is a fee-free account. And obviously I could have argued with him and I could have jumped all over that type of statement. But as we know, the Stifel is not a fee-free account. And so I just pulled up a couple of the funds that he had. He had some stocks and some ETFs and some mutual funds but this one was a very popular one. I know a lot of you guys have heard of it. It was called American Century Growth Fund, and the ticker symbol was TWCGX. And you'll see as we kind of go through this discussion, we're going to be using all the tools that we had talked about at the training. Now, in this particular case, this guy's American Century Fund was a non-retirement account. He actually had it in a non-retirement account fund. And there's defaults here, by the way. When you guys look up these fees, there's defaults here when it comes to expected rate of returns. I always bring the rate of return down to 4, 5, or 6, even though it's not relevant in this discussion. And then the guy's tax rate, he was a 28% federal rate, 15% capital gain, so it's a total of 33 and 20 for ordinary income and for capital gains. So when I calculated this one, and this is just the first one I'm going to show you guys today. When I calculated the first one, I said, well, your broker may not be charging you additional fees in this account, but there are definite costs to maintaining this account. And when I went over this with him, again, it's not like I was calling his guy a liar or trying to be combative in any way whatsoever. It was more of, hey, he gets paid. I mean, obviously nobody does anything for free. This is how he gets paid. But more important than how it gets paid is, what is the likelihood that over time this particular strategy is going to be a winning strategy for you and your family and your retirement and your money. And so in this website, it breaks it down. So the transaction costs in this particular fund are 0.6%. Fund management fee is about 1%. And then you have the taxes. And remember, when I looked at the taxes, and this guy's particular taxes that he has on line 8A and line 9A of his tax return, there was over $30,000 worth of taxable income coming from his stifled portfolio. $30,000 worth of taxable income. So what that tells me is that he's got a large portfolio that it's not, number one, it's not being tax managed at all, and number two, he probably is not using that income, and he's probably reinvesting that income, and he has no idea really what his options are here. So the taxation that's being thrown off is represented by this 1.5%. The general idea is well, it's 3.1% to maintain this account in fees and expenses. And so what that basically means is he has to earn 6% in this account every year to net that 3. And the likelihood of him doing that is pretty low, and the likelihood of him outpacing an index type of fund is slim to 0. So when I talk about this, one of the things that this couple said to me, they're really nice, and they said, well, wouldn't the index accounts also generate a bunch of taxation? And so you'll see here, again, this is 1.59% of the accounts being thrown off as taxes every year. That's actually pretty high. $1,500 in taxes that he has to pay for every $100,000 that he's holding. And so I said, well, let's go ahead and take a look. And I rewound it for a second. And I went into the fund director, and I think we looked up a Vanguard S&P fund. And so we look up the Vanguard S&P fund, put everything else the same. Again, this is right in front of the client. It doesn't take much time. There's other websites that do the same thing. I just think this is the simplest. If this client wants to use my login username. So here it is, the deal here. Transaction costs, fund management costs, distribution costs. Now the top 3 expenses here total up, it's like 0.1%. So these total up to be 0.2% rather than 2%. And then the taxes are 0.39. It's way more tax efficient. So way less fee, way more tax efficient. If we wanted to, we could go right over to the history of the market, compare indexes performance. Just to be honest with you guys, I told you this before, I very rarely talk about performance at all. In fact, I don't even think it's necessarily relevant. As long as these guys know the idea of the index, why people use the indexes. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to carry this forward from the index discussion to the random return calculation to the sales brochure. And we're going to sell and we're going to be able to move a ton of money using this type of approach. Okay, so this is after the questionnaire meeting. This is probably the second meeting when we have the model out. And we're kind of blowing stuff up, but we're really talking about fees. Watch the second one. And this second account that I'm going to look up of this particular person was one of his largest holdings. It sounds really exciting. It was the Deutsche Science and Technology Fund. Ticker symbol is KTCAX. And one of the things you'll see here, again, it's a taxable account, is that very, very seldom, and I know you guys do this, but very seldom are our clients managed at all so that their tax-efficient holdings are in their non-retirement accounts, and their tax-inefficient holdings, the things spinning off a lot of taxes, are in their retirement accounts. Because when you're doing some kind of asset allocation, you can split them up between stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You can split them up between growth and income all you want. But the bottom line is you definitely want the things, even if it's a bond portfolio, if it's a taxable bond portfolio, you want that in their retirement account. You don't want that in their non-retirement account just because of the inefficiency tax-wise. So holy cow, what we called this one was we called this the trifecta of losses. Now, it's really the trifecta of stupidity. I didn't tell them this. But when you look at one of these accounts and you say, holy cow, and again, I didn't even mention the fact that this account was negative last year. Right? These are actual returns for the fund, pre-tax and after-tax. Didn't even talk about that because it didn't matter. And the reason why is because the transaction costs in this account were 3.91%. Fund management was 0.75%. Fund distribution 0.22. And then the taxation was 2.5. It costs this client 7.4% to hold on to this particular account. And they're looking at this and they're thinking, they've got to be shocked. I mean, they've got to be thinking, why on God's green earth would anybody ever own this particular fund? There's no reason to. The amount of risk versus reward versus loss in fee and the opportunity cost of all these taxes it's an astounding number. And I don't even need to go through the whole thing just to know that they would need to earn a positive return of some astronomical number every year to make this worthwhile. And it's not ever going to happen. If we want to see the transaction cost down here, this is a really interesting thing here, where it says fund turnover. You know, when you see a cost of 2, 3, 4% in transactions, this is a churn and burn fund. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The only way they can cause that type of taxation and that type of churning and fees is to just be constantly turning over this account. So this 315%, what that basically represents is that each individual holding or stock within that account has been sold on average 3 times in 1 year. So there is no reason that this person, other than generating fees and activity for their broker, there's no reason why this person should hold this portfolio. And obviously this client's in their 60s. So they're wondering why their accounts aren't growing. This is one of the reasons why. It is quite possible that this broker might have put them into this account maybe right after a year where it performed really, really well, but that the fact that they're still in here, what happened was they lost somewhere between 2 and 4% last year, but they really lost a ton more than that because of all the additional fees in here. So they really lost, this includes taxes, so they probably lost altogether, 7, 8 plus 2. So they probably lost almost 10% last year. And the market certainly was not down negative 10% last year. So that is a very, very easy type of scenario. Now here's the other one too. This was not as egregious, but I think that it just shows the lack of planning from the other broker. We can kind of blow up this island here, which is they have a Franklin Income Fund, right? FCISX. And just like many other people, they have not only investment accounts, but they also have Roth IRAs, they have 401ks, they have everything else that we expect to see. There's no reason why any of these accounts that are throwing off this crazy amount of income and taxes, this is close to 3% to hold on to an income fund. Obviously, the income fund's mostly bonds. The bond portfolios are negative. We're talking here, like, again, it's a negative 8%. Because it's not just the return that's negative, but you got to add in the loss of fees. And how can you pay taxes? And this is one of the most important things in this scenario. How can you pay taxes when you lose money? What really should happen is you should be able to harvest the loss in an account. You should sell it, take the capital loss, and deduct it against somewhere else. But that's not what's going on. And I asked him, I said, what is your broker doing to manage these losses for you, and are you writing these losses off against something else? 100% of the time, their answer is going to be no. There is no broker who has their mutual funds being managed, number one, tax-wise, so they're smart, and number two, so when they do have losses, the only reason to have a mutual fund or any type of stock in this particular situation is the fact that if you have a loss, you can cash it and deduct it and offset that loss against the gain somewhere else. This income fund doesn't belong in here. If you're going to have the income fund at all, it belongs in one of the retirement accounts, unless they actually were taking income, right? They're not taking income, so they're paying taxes on income. They're losing money. It's another trifecta of stupidity. Like literally this couldn't get any worse. And when I first met with these people, they thought this Stifel Nicholas account literally was the best thing in the world. They thought it was a fee-free account, and they thought it was like their own gift. Their broker was so generous for putting them in here. So now we can see why, this particular discussion is I don't necessarily have to make jabs, or I don't have to tell them that the other guy has no idea what he's doing. The numbers and the actual just pointing out the strategy kind of speaks for itself. Okay. Now, this particular website, again, is one of the ones I like to use. You guys can use whatever you want. What I would love for you to be able to do is take that conversation and then bring it back around here to a conversation. In this particular account, they had $691,000. All right, and let's say, for example, they thought they were going to earn 6%, and they were actually adding money to this account, like $35,000 a year. And they're retiring in 3 years. So when you're using the calculator as point of sale, and I know a couple of you just told me you had been, which is fantastic, just take a couple minutes and practice numbers ahead of time so that you know exactly what the deal is. You don't make a mistake in front of the client. But I'm very comfortable with these. I use these constantly. And so there's two things that I want to review here with this calculator. The first thing I'm going to review is this extra money going in. My real question is this money going in really being well served in this particular account, or could we be rerouting this money somewhere else? And obviously, where that money should be going is into something that's not going to be causing them such a tax nightmare as this account. Right? And so the one thing I can do to show you real simple analysis is this $691 at 6% in 3 years is going to grow to $941,000. Okay? So this is just a simple calculation that shows growing your money and adding money. We're not going to blow up anything just quite yet. Okay? Then I'm going to say to them, well, what if we didn't put in this $35,000? Our 941, and this is exactly what I did in front of the client, our 941 is going to shrink to 822. So we got $120,000 less money. But we still have the majority of our money there. The majority of the money that's in this account is already there based upon what we've saved over our lives. So we're going to lose $120,000 by not adding money in here. And this is the exact same thing whether they're adding money to a mutual fund or if they're adding money to a 401k. If somebody is even 55 or over and they're doing this catch-up thing or maxing stuff out or whatever it is that they're doing, they have to understand that there's not enough time for those new contributions to have any real profound impact on their accounts. And really typically what they do is they're either tying up their money so that they're losing access, or they're creating more taxation for themselves, but very seldom is adding or maxing or doing any of this type of stuff into these other accounts ever going to really bring them economic benefit. So we know they've put in over $100,000 of their own money over this 3-year period, right? They've got only $120,000 less money by not putting that in. So they put in $105,000 less of their own money, yet they only have $120,000 less. So basically what we're saying to them is, you've put all this money in, you might, if the account goes 6% each year, 6 on 6 on 6, you might make $15,000 extra interest. But if you do, you certainly are going to have to pay taxes on that. And the economic benefit to doing that is really, really small. Right? And so here's the second part of that. Now we're going to talk about distributions. Right? So we're going to say, okay, look, not only is this thing incredibly inefficient, but it's also, when I put your tax rate in here, it's also spinning off taxes. And we showed you, you pay taxes on these accounts whether you make money or not. I can promise you guys, clients have no idea. They have no idea that they're paying taxes whether they make money or not. So I'm going to put the person's tax rate in here right now, and well, I'm going to make the argument. Let's say their capital gains is 20 and their marginal is 33, so the average tax between 20 and 33 is, let's say, 27. All right, put any tax rate we want in there. So we can net the taxes out of here, and what I'm going to show them, I'm going to go ahead and enable this content. What I'm going to show them, and I'm going to bring this up for a longer period of time now, let's do it 10 years, is how much taxation that they're going to be having to take out of this account. So $147,000 of taxes, and this is without them actually selling anything. This is just the kind of the current taxes, and they can see this happening on the tax return. The problem is they've got these fees, and again, some fees are 2, some are 4, 5, or 6. I'm just going to put 2, right? And then I'm going to show them, here's the thing, right? Taxes are going to cost you $150 over the next 10. Fees are going to cost you $200. It's $350,000 being lost to taxes and fees. Again, we're not talking about performance at all. This is just a review, right? And then I netted out both of the taxes and the fee, and I said, you're taking 100% of the risk. Your $691 isn't going to grow. It isn't. It's not going to grow to 1.2 like it should, right? It's not going to grow to 1.2. It's only going to grow to 896. And the reason is because of all this money being lost to taxes and fees, right? There might be a better way to do that. Now, there's 2 different things we can talk about in terms of how we can reduce this current taxation. A lot of guys in the annuity business obviously would say, hey, well, why don't we throw those monies into a non-qualified annuity? And again, I'm taking the exact same conversation that we're going to have with our clients. So we can certainly reduce or eliminate current taxation by putting that money into a non-qualified annuity. The problem is we're changing the nature of the taxes on that annuity from part capital gains and part income to essentially all income tax. So in the long run, that idea of deferral, a non-qualified annuity is just doing that deferral game again. We're going to have to pay more taxes down the road. Okay? But what we can do, and these resources are all available to you. Again, hopefully you've pulled them up on the website and searched around at them for them. What we can do is we can introduce them to this strategy, which is the CARE program strategy. And you'll see how I've got everything on my computer. I'll go through the general idea of how the CRUT works. I'll explain to them the charitable asset reposition and estate plan, whatever, and I'm going to go down to this page, which is the simplest proposal page that I have ever seen for any type of planning strategy in the world. It's basically 3 lines, and we can do all this math in our head. It's really, really simple. Okay? And the disclosures on here say the CARE program does not act as a tax advisor, right? It also says you may receive a tax deduction as great as 30 to 50%, as well as an income stream ranging from 5 to 8. Okay? But in this particular case, I can do this right in front of the client, or I can order it. I can have it done and emailed to them. John Doe. And again, we're saying we've identified the fee problem, we've identified the risk problem, we've identified the tax problem. This isn't the same meeting. I'm not going to show them all the solutions here, but I'm going to show you guys how we will just process this sort of idea or process the proposal to the next step. They've got $691,000. Let's just say they have $700,000. We'll take half of their non-qualified portfolio and move it into the CRUT. Right? We're going to take income of this in this CRUT of 5% minimum, which would be $17,500 a year. We can take more. Right? We can take up, I wouldn't take more than 10, but if we want to take 8 or 9, I'm going to show you the net effect of the 8 or 9, and I leave it to your clients to tell you what they want to do, which I think is pretty cool. And then the potential tax deduction on this thing, I'm going to estimate this guy's in the mid-60s, so $350, probably about 45% tax deduction, so $175. Let's estimate about $155,000. I'm estimating low. Okay, and I sit there, and they look at it, and they say, I can take that $350, sell it, avoid capital gains tax, get the income of $17,500, and create a tax deduction of $155. And that tax deduction, again, guys, remember, and I'm talking fast because this is on recording, so you can listen back to it. That $155 tax deduction can be spread out over 5 years. They can take it all at once. They can use it in many different ways, but I love taking that 155 and carrying it forward, right? And I'm going to do this whole scenario of the 155 and watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the 155 now, and I'm going to tell them, we'll just put you guys in a fee-free index. Why am I saying the words fee-free and index? Well, because we know the product that we're going to ultimately have them in is going to be one of the index annuities, and it's either going to be a fee-free annuity or it's going to be one that beats the market with some type of fee, but we know it's going to be better. And so I'm going to tell them we're going to put you in a fee-free index, but this 155, what this represents is money that was in your 401k or money that was in your IRA that we have now converted to Roth. It's a dollar-for-dollar offset. So now this 155, this is now money that you, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, are not going to spend until the end. This is going to be the last money you touch. And if you don't end up not spending it, rather than leaving your family or wife or kids $155,000 in a taxable 401k or IRA, you're going to end up 25 years down the road when you're in your 90s, you'll end up leaving them $500,000 as a completely tax-free Roth. That is how to capture or recapture the tax benefit of that CRUT. And you'll see here, all along the way, if you needed or wanted any of this money as it grew, no barriers to access. Right? It's tax-free. You can get it. You can do whatever you want with it. This is Roth money now. Don't forget. So more than likely they won't spend it. If they do spend it, they can take it. It's completely liquid. The fact that you can turn a $150,000 taxable 401 into a $500,000 tax-free Roth over the course of somebody's lifetime, utilizing this strategy, people love that. It makes them think, oh, great, now my kids are going to inherit this. I can spend all my other money. So many interesting psychological things start to happen as we go through this discussion. I'm going to show you the calculator to support all this data here. I don't really want you using this in front of clients until you get really, really comfortable. Okay? But this proposal, does the proposal get any simpler? Could it be any easier than this? This is really as simple as it gets, right? And that's one of the reasons why we created it. So we're really making a complicated issue simple. Let's go to the online calculator that I showed you guys that I like. It's the Middlebury College Tradable Trust Calculator. I'm going to go back. I'm going to verify some of my work here. I'm going to do this without clients in front of me, and if I get comfortable enough, then I'll put clients in front of me and I'll do it in front of them. They can go onto this website and they can look at it themselves. Let's say I got a 65-year-old. My average client's probably 65. Calculate the 5%. Well, I know I did the math, and holy cow, guess what? I was pretty darn close, wasn't I? And I literally didn't do this ahead of this call. I just guessed because I'm pretty familiar with what the numbers are going to end up being. So I look like a mad genius now because I just calculated the tax deduction within $1,000, and I'm not an accountant, but I look like one, so we're good to go. Payment rate of 5%, obviously I was correct on the math too of the income. Now here's one of the really cool things. If somebody's really smart or they're really thoughtful, they're going to say, wait a minute, I want to be assured that I'm going to get my money out of this deal. Forget this 5%. I want 9%. I say, great, let's take your 9%. And instead of getting, by the way, guys, the 9% actually looks pretty darn good because the tax deduction is still $92,000. The fact that this guy's pretty much 100% sure he's not going to get all his money back out, plus whatever interest, and he gets to keep a $90,000 tax deduction, that's pretty darn good. So the tax deduction got cut down by 40%. But now he gets $31,000 a year rather than $17,500. How do I quantify this for the client? This is what I want to show them. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Client, let's assume you get the 5, right? In the first scenario, if you took out the $17,500, in fact, I need to make this make this easier. I actually need to make it, because this is an annual withdrawal in advance, I need to do 155 plus 17,500. So I really need to start off my account at 172. Right? You can make that because of a bonus or just because of whatever you want, but in any case, what's going to end up happening is, whoops, annual rate of return, there we go, 5% interest. I need to reset this. Sorry. This is going to be minus 17,500. and the amount coming out of here is $372,000, I think. Okay. So what's happening here is we want our principal to stay relatively the same. So this person goes through the course of their lives. They take out money every year, the same $17,000 or whatever it is, and even after 25 years in their 90s again, their principal has remained relatively intact. If we go back and we say, okay, we can take out 9%, but we're still going to earn 5. So if we do that, we need to take out $31,500 per year. And so when we take out $31,500 per year, $1,500, when does the income stop? Do you guys remember when the income stops? The income stops when this number reaches about $37,000. So right between the 15th and the 16th year, the income needs to stop because they've taken out all their money plus interest. They've got to leave $30,000 in there to go to charity, but they get to keep the tax deduction. So their choice is very simple. Do you want to leave your principal intact for your family, or do you want to make sure you spend down all the money? When you show them this difference, so essentially, guys, what's the difference? If the difference is 4%, right? They're going to take out 4% more money. So the difference is $31,500 minus $17,500. So the difference is $14,000 extra they're taking out. So $14,000 extra, let's do that times 15 years. So they will have taken out 15 times 14,000. So they will have taken out $210,000 more money in the first 15 years. You see what I just did? I just showed them how much more money they're taking out. But if they don't take it out, let's go back to this for a second. Let's say I do negative 17,500. These calculators can verify everything for us. If he doesn't take out the extra $14,000 a year after 15 years, not only does the income not stop, but he still has all this money left in here. So hopefully this guy lives for 30 years. If he does, now he's got $17,000 extra per year he's taken out for an additional 15 years. 17,500 times 15 is he's going to draw an additional $262,000. So you let him make the decision himself. If he wants to do it this way, he can do it this way. It doesn't matter to him. But we know that we can calculate. What most people will do when they get greedy like this is they'll usually end up compromising in the middle. And what they'll do is they'll do 7%. Because what that means is if you're going to live a decent amount of time, you're going to be pretty much assured you're going to draw out all your money. You're still going to get a six-figure, you're going to have a six-figure tax deduction, and you're going to get a really nice $24,000 income stream off of your $350,000 lump. So this is sort of the conversation. We're not pushing them in any one direction. We're having a conversation with them that gets them in here to talk about, what our options are. We can look at the tax deductions and income and let them decide for themselves. They now feel like they're part of this discussion. What the discussion turned to after we took them the calculators was, oh, I want to leave money to my church, or I want to leave money to my college, or I want to leave money to XYZ Foundation. Once you hear them and once you hear the conversation start switching to that, you know that the decision's already been made. It's a done deal. Okay? One of the mistakes, and this is a classic mistake, really, really important. One of the classic mistakes people make is, hey, this $24,000 of income, that's the amount of money that should go into the life insurance. Okay? I would definitely tell you that this $24,000 of income is money that you just created. Remember, they have this $700,000 portfolio, of which this $20,000 was being earned as dividends or gains that they were paying taxes on, reinvesting it, but they weren't using this money. The problem that you get into is if you show them that this is the amount of income that you're going to get and you want to redirect this into life insurance, you didn't create any more benefit for them over their lifetime. All you did was sell them more insurance. So what I really want to do is I want to say, hey, we created this income right here, right? We created the tax deduction. We created the income. Do whatever the heck you want to do with it. Spend it, save it, waste it. This is guaranteed for the rest of your life. You know how much clients really love hearing that? That we basically just gave them I see everybody's joined in now. Great. A couple more people on the call. The fact that we just gave them $2,000 a month income, and they're not even retired yet. So they can buy more insurance if they want to, but I want them to know that this is found money. It's not income you were taking before. You can spend it, save it, or waste it, or gift it, do whatever you want with it, because we're going to have plenty of money for their premium from the insurance coming from their retirement accounts. Remember, this was all non-retirement accounts. We blew up fees. We blew up taxes. The CRUT solves all of those problems in one foul swoop. Got it? Pretty cool? Pretty simple so far? Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift our focus to their $800,000. And guys, if we use the CRUT offset, maybe we could say to them, you have $800 in your retirement accounts, but you really are going to end up only having $650. Why am I using $650? Because we just Roth converted $150. So we'll Roth convert $150, and we'll have $650 left. Okay? So this is what's really going on here. And I'm going to say to him, hey, look, it's the same deal. They're maxing out their $24,000 a year is going into here. Watch how much premium we're going to be able to find for the insurance simply by redirecting these things, right? We already talked about the non-retirement account. Let's talk about the retirement account. $650 at 5%, $831,000 after 3 years. They get it, and we're making this really simple, right? If we don't put the 24 in, $750. Put the 24 in. Whoop, 24,000. One more time. $830. Right? Don't put the 21,000 in or 24,000 in. $750. Right? So $750, $830. That's about, they have $80,000 less money. Well, gee, again, I'm not a math genius, but they put in about $75,000 of their own money less. $75,000 of their own money less to only lose $80,000 worth of growth, of which it's going to be taxable in the back end at an unknown bracket. I don't know how much tax you're going to pay. It's going to be a lot. You got Social Security, you got your IRA, you had all those other taxes coming from all these other accounts. Obviously, that's great. Now, beyond this, what I'm going to tell them is, why don't we go ahead and not let this grow? Because if you continue on and you retire and you go to age 70, let's just go 10 years from now as an example, do you really want your $650 to grow to $1 million? I know that sounds like a great idea, but don't you think it might be better if we were able to reroute this somewhere where it would be tax sheltered and you wouldn't need to use that? You wouldn't need to pay taxes on that again? Not just your corpus of $650, but all that growth. What happens if we start taking out 5% of this? Well, I already know the answer, right? 5% of this is what, about $32,000? I'll just do $30,000 to keep it simple. When I take out that $30,000, what's happened is I've now kept my principal intact, right? I take out $30,000 a year starting right now, and I'm still left with my $600 and something thousand 10 years down the road. But now I've got $30,000, and by the way, that's going to have to be net after tax. So I don't know what their tax rate is. I think we said a quarter. So maybe they'll have $22,000 or $24,000 to go back somewhere else. They have that, but then they also have the $24,000 that's not going in there. Guys, that's $50,000 of life premium. That's plenty. Do you have any idea how much premium and how much cash value you can get with $50,000 of life premium? We didn't need to use their CRUT income. The CRUT income is theirs. Let them spend it. Let them use it. Right? We now have $40,000 to $50,000 a year. We're going to be able to get them a $2.5 million life insurance policy with guaranteed cash values that's going to be there forever. So I know that, this conversation is 40 minutes with us, probably over the course of 2 1-hour meetings with the client. But do you see how simple all the calculations were? And we didn't say create the CRUT, redirect the CRUT income for life insurance. That didn't create any value for him. Right? Now what we've done is we've said to them, hey, you did the CRUT, and you're worried about maybe your family dying, or you dying and your family not getting the $350. Well, how would you feel if instead of your family getting the $350, we were able to leave the $350 to a charity and your family gets $2 million instead. Would that be okay with you? That's essentially what we've done. Maybe the charity doesn't get $350, maybe they get $200. I don't know how long you're going to live. Maybe they get $100. They're going to get something, but I know your family's going to get $2 million no matter what. We didn't cost them any income. They didn't lose any income whatsoever. They actually saved on taxes. They got more income, and they left their family more money. So this is a case that I think, the funny thing about it is I was actually doing this joint case with another advisor. I was dying to show you guys what the other advisor had in store for this guy. The analysis, the certified financial planner analysis, he created I'm not even kidding you. He created a 30-page PowerPoint to talk about asset allocation, to talk about Monte Carlo, to talk about insurance costs, taxes. He created a 30-page PowerPoint. And one thing I can tell you for sure is 100% certainty that PowerPoint is going to be erroneous. Everything that we're doing is based upon simple philosophy. No moving numbers, no magic, very simple rates of return. What he showed was X amount of rate of return, and he showed all this stuff happening, and we know that based upon the investments that they had going in here, that whatever they showed is never going to happen. They have 1 year that doesn't do well. It's never going to happen. I can kind of segue this conversation into, okay, I get it. I get the strategy. We like it. Well, guess what? Right on my desktop, and this is my desktop, guys. This is my actual desktop computer, my AOL email, my Google Calendar. This is my Google Calendar. Everything is on my desktop. Okay? And right on the desktop, I'll pull up J.P. Morgan and talk about the Mosaic Index. And I go right to the slide, and I'll show them how the index works. I'll show them how the J.P. Morgan, in this one sentence, it's in black and white. I didn't create this brochure, but if I did create it, I would have done it exactly the way Nationwide did it. You can't get any better than this. The index in the Mosaic experienced 69% higher compounded returns with 79% less risk. That's not even the kicker to this whole deal. What's the kicker to this whole deal, guys? There's not a single dollar in fee. Guaranteed, they can never charge you a single dollar in fee. That is the kicker. When people understand our philosophy, we just came full circle, guys. We're going to get all their money. We're going to get all their money because our philosophy was consistent. Our ideas were verifiable by the calculators, and we went through it, and we have a ton of credibility because we brought value by creating something out of nothing. That is as simple as it gets. Look what we just did. You guys all know how to do this. It's incredibly rewarding and satisfying in knowing how much of a difference we just made in their lives. Are they going to have more income? Without a doubt. Are they going to pay less taxes? Absolutely. Is a charity going to benefit? 100% for sure a charity is going to benefit. Are the kids going to get more money? Millions of dollars. Somebody want to argue with me on that? Not a chance. Not a chance. If I get 4% rather than 5%, will it make a difference? Absolutely not. If I get 6 instead of 5%, will it make a difference? Absolutely not. Doesn't make any difference. This sucker is going to work no matter what. Okay. I babbled for a long time. Please, guys, practice these strategies. Go on to the websites. Here's our platform, member platform. Click on the member platform on the EA website, EliteAdvisorAcademy.org. These things are on videos. The step-by-step guides are here. The calculator tutorials are here. On some of these trainings, guys, you need to start sending me some cases. I'll put them on the model for you, and I'll do the client work with you. We will not need to do – we're going to save you so much time. It is going to be unbelievable how much time we're going to save you because we don't have to do any client preparation in advance. There's no proposals. There's no illustrations. We work everything out in front of the clients. So if you want to practice, you can do the calculator tutorials. There's going to be videos on here. How do I do them? All these different types of calculators we have on here. We have the step-by-step guides for the process of the meetings. First meeting, second meeting, third meeting. We just did probably the the second meeting, the life cycle model training. Get somebody in your office to sit down with you, learn how to do the models, do a model for every client. It only takes about 10, 15 minutes once they get good at it to just put everything on a model so you can stick that model in front of the client. Okay? The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the MEP program. I did not have time to go through this with you guys last time. Okay, I've got a PowerPoint just real briefly, and if you guys want to get involved in this, let me know more. Let me know about your cases. The MEP is a multiple employer plan 401k. You guys can do this without being securities licensed because you are not the financial advisor. Okay, the plan sponsor is who you get paid from. Okay, Prevailing Asset Management is the name of the multiple employer plan 401k. The trustee is Ameritrade. The administrator is Pantegra. The financial advisor is Novus. If you want to be the financial advisor, you can get paid on both. You can be the financial advisor. Novus doesn't have to do it for you. They are just able to do it for us for the people who are not securities licensed. But if you don't want to deal with the headache, let Novus do it for you. It doesn't make any difference to us. I'm not trying to make money on this thing, even though you will make money. What I want to do is I want to get to all the employees. I want to meet with all of them and do their personal planning. If you guys don't know what a multiple employer plan does, is it basically uses economies of scale. So small employers start getting big employee, like, if you only have $10 million in your plan, this plan has $500 million in it. And they get all the benefits of that. They get vesting, they get matching, they get their own retirement age, they can take loans. They can write their own rules. They can change these. If they want to match, they don't want to match. You can personalize and customize your plan, but you still get the economies of scale of the major plan. Nobody's going to be able to compete with this. And look at this. You will never find a 401k that any of your clients are ever in that have these options. Are you kidding me? You can do ING, you can do Oakmart, this is private money management, you can do iShares, all in the same 401k. When you show people these options, they've never seen these before. They never knew it was possible. And it's not possible with a plan that has $10 million, but it is possible with a plan that has $400 million. All right, so you're going to be able to bring them so much value add. Here's one of the really cool things. Okay, the employee, there are no single per head employee costs. We call those soft dollar costs. They do not charge per head cost for this. So the employee has better investment options. The employee has better costs. They have us as their professional or whoever is giving them individual investment advice. The employer, no more fiduciary. Man, if you want to go tell your employer, hey, we're going to take away fiduciary liability on your 401k and we're going to lower your costs and we're going to file your taxes for you, we're going to remove audit responsibility. Are you kidding me? This is a no-brainer. Even if the guy doesn't like you, he's going to want to do business with you. Again, this is just, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this. I've got a big PowerPoint. We can look up any company you want. I can show you who their management company is right now. I can show you what their fees are. I can show you what their performance is. This is going to help you get into a ton of places. You don't have to do any nonprofit marketing to use this. You guys have access to this right now. Okay? There's no reason why you guys shouldn't be able to get into a ton of different places utilizing some of these ideas. All right? That was almost an hour of me babbling. I would love, if we could, to just unmute the lines and see if you guys have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about today before I sign off.
Okay, Jonathan.
The conference has been unmuted.
All lines are unmuted, Jonathan. Everyone is free to ask questions and talk.
Thanks. Have you guys been able to put models together, try the calculators, have any interests in having me look at some of your cases? Have you had any good, bad, ugly experiences? What's going on out there? Any questions at all? Just about everybody from the class is on this meeting now, which is totally awesome. I'm glad you guys all came today. Hopefully got value from today's discussion. I know I talk fast. You guys have to have some questions. No? Hello? Anyone? You're all unmuted? All right. Maybe I said everything so clearly and succinctly that it was really obvious and easy to understand and follow. I don't know. I would love to hear from you guys. we're going to have a couple more calls just like this, and then you're going to be put back in the general population. The way to get started, the next steps are use the calculators, use the models, send me the cases. That's really how to jumpstart this if you haven't already done it. I always tell people, send me some of the everyday cases that don't look like there's a lot there, and we'll help you find a lot more, I think, than you might normally have found. Send me some of the stuff that you really have some problems with or having issues with, having difficulties overcoming objections, and I can give you some ideas on how to overcome those objections. But all I do all day, every day is I just do client work. That's what I do, just like you guys. So I'm more than happy to jump in and help you guys and get you started utilizing this process. If you want to join the nonprofit and you want to get the certifications, you have to do joint work. We don't let anybody join without coming to the class and doing joint work, because we have to make sure everybody's using the process and the system exactly the same way. So everybody gets treated the same. We know the client experience is the same. We know that we're able to do a comprehensive planning process for everybody. I'm going
John,
out of town. Yes.
This is Kip. What's the process
hey,
for
Kip,
being
what's
able
going on, brother?
to? Hey, things are good.
Good.
What's the process for being able to, touch base with you on a case?
The process is you email me or you text me some client information, and I will either answer the phone, text you back, or call you back, or email you back, and we'll set a time up to go over the case.
Gotcha.
In a perfect world, and you guys are brand new at this, Kip, so I know you may not want to be putting all your clients on the model, but in a perfect world, you would send me over a model with your client information on there. I can look at, just like we did in class, remember, Kip? I can look at a model, and in about 60 seconds I can tell you how we would plan it. And then everything else just becomes details beyond that. But that's how I work. When I see models in my office, I can look at a model, and I can plan it in just a few seconds of looking at it. I can know what we're going to do. Now, of course, it may vary a little bit once we talk to the client, but that is what I want you guys to be able to practice doing. Practice using the model. It's really like a chessboard. And when you become really, really good at it, it's going to make you much more efficient in your practice. Kip, I wish I could show you guys the financial plan that this other guy was planning on using with his client. It was incredible. I mean, I'm guessing he spent at least 5 to 6 man-hours creating this plan. And then I'm guessing he probably would have had to go back and adjust it a million different ways based upon the discussions and the scenarios that the client was actually going to give him in real life. It's just incredible. So I would love to save you guys time. I would love to go over the cases with you and help bring some value to your practice. You guys all have my email, jleeffg@AOL. You guys should all have it. Elizabeth emailed all of you guys right after the class. Maybe I'll go ahead and send you guys all an email as well. My phone number, 301-518-7118. You can call or text me anytime. And I can promise you that.
Hey, John, is that phone number, has that been emailed over?
I don't believe it has.
I don't believe it has either.
Yeah, 301-518-7118. I'll make sure you guys all get that contact information. But I get a handful of texts. I get a handful of texts every day with people with questions. I can usually answer them in just a couple seconds. But if we go over a case in a little more detail with the model, I'm going to be much more effective for you.
Okay.
Those are the next steps. So this momentum is so important, guys. Literally, we have just about every single person here that was in the class. So we would love to keep this momentum going. And if you guys start writing, I would love for you to get contracted with Mutual Trust if you'd like them. If not, whatever life insurance companies that you want to do through Creative, start writing some business. We can spend some time together at some of these more advanced training classes. We can go to the conferences together and really just get you involved in the culture. I know how hard it is out there when you're running around making money and doing your thing. It's hard to be in this culture. The only way we're going to do it together is by keeping in touch with each other, getting in all the calls together, doing the joint cases together, meeting with each other a few times a year. That is how to really, really take part in the program and really help it, hopefully revolutionize your practice. So that's up to you guys. It's 100% up to you. I'm here for you guys. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. Liz is here. Don't be afraid to reach out to her. I got 30 seconds. Any other questions? No? All right. Hey, guys, hope you have another good middle of the summertime. We'll be getting back to you in not too long. If you want me to do your cases during these calls and do the casework in front of everybody so you can see how we'll plan them out and talk to them as a group, send the cases my way. I'm happy to do them with you. Hopefully you got a lot out of today. You're going to get access to the archives of the older calls once we go through them. Lots and lots of training stuff, lots and lots of practice with the calculators. Send me over care program deals. I'll walk you through it. You'll be amazed at how excited your clients get, how to turn cases that don't have a ton of potential into tons of potential using all these other things. Thank you guys very much. Last chance, anything else? All right. Hey, Liz, thanks for having us. Dennis, thanks for hosting. You guys are the best. Awesome talking with you guys. I'm out of town for 1 week. I'm out of the country for 1 week, by the way. So I'll be back on the 24th. So if you do email me or text me, I'll probably be able to return the emails. My guess is for the next week or so I will not be able to return a text. So email me instead if you need anything, and I'll talk to you guys in a week. Have a great day, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. That is the end of the call. Hope you have a fantastic Friday and a good rest of your Thursday.